Hits and Crits. This video is brought to you by Asmodee.
What is up, YouTube? Welcome to another video. Today, House Greyjoy. I'm joined by none other than Balor Blacktide himself. At least he has the beard. I'm a bit jealous. Tipsy Tango, aka Dominic from the Hits and Crits team. Dominic, it's so great you're here.
Hey Dennis, nice to be here. So good to do another video, and especially on my favorite faction. And so let's see what has happened in season 7 for House Greyjoy.
Yes, I'm very excited. And we both play Greyjoys. They're kind of my second faction. But I'm still very happy that you're here as the expert. And this is what we're going to cover in this video today. Where does the faction come from? We're going to look at some NCU changes, combat unit changes, and we're going to go for the big picture at the end. And of course, we brought 2 lists for you to try out at the beginning of Season 7. Let's go. Okay, so Dominic, tell us, where does the Greyjoy faction come from? Where were they at the end of Season 7? What do you think?
All right, yeah, so as everyone probably knows that House Greyjoy's lists were dominated by Balon NCU. Almost everyone that played in big tournaments brought the Balon and at least one Victarion list. I think we were not doing too badly. There, I think, were some tournament wins, and we have some very good players playing in the upper ranks. And yeah, so that's, I think, the status quo. Of course, we're still only infantry faction, and it's not so. Was never easy to play, especially against control factions like Martells and Lannisters. And so let's see where we're going now after the big changes in Season 7.
Yeah, okay. And of course, you mentioning Balon is important here. A lot of the time, taking Balon has led to people criticizing that and asking for a nerf. And something has happened on that front. We're going to look at the NCUs and we're going to just address the elephant in the room here. And we're going to start with Balon. And he did get a nerf. It has happened. But don't fear, okay? A lot of the other changes are all buffs. Okay, don't run out. Balon has been changed to this. So Balon Greyjoy has before been able to deploy a destroyed unit somewhere on the table edge or any table edge. And usually what happens is you send in a strong unit aggressively, they get killed. You activate Balon, he can use his once per game when he activates instead of claiming a zone, and then you pop out those Silence Men with Victarion Commander, this ball of destruction, and you just pop it out behind enemy lines and choose which unit to run into in the back. And it has been changed a bit. 2 things have been changed in this. So he's still resurrecting a unit, but the change is that you can only bring them in at the friendly deployment edge. So back in your own territory, so to speak, they can come back. And this is, of course, quite the big nerf, right? You cannot immediately put him somewhere in the back of a unit, but it's still, really, really powerful, and you can bring back those strong units. And if they haven't been activated, they still come back as unactivated. So that's great. And the once per game part at the top, right? That was also changed a bit because now it's not on his activation instead of claiming a zone, but instead when he claims a zone, you may replace that zone effect with. So this is a bit changed, but it's also making it a little more difficult to use this ability, correct?
Yeah, certainly. Now that you have to activate and then take a zone, opens you up to things like intrigue and subterfuge. So there's like more ways to play around Balon, and of course the redeployment in your own deployment zone, or rather 12 inches from your own home side, makes it more difficult to get the unit that you revived back into combat. That's what you want, right? Although I have to say that if you play for example, Victarion or Theon, like one of the more mobile commanders,
Mm-hmm.
it's still possible to get him in quickly, kind of, sorta. Also depends on where you've been fighting on the board. Against like very defensive factions that stay back and don't really push into your deployment
Mm-hmm.
zone or side of the table. Of course, it's a bit difficult, but if someone's attacking you anyway, and they are rushing you down, and then you bring the unit back on your side of the table, with having opponents on your side of the table anyway, then of course it's not such a drawback. But still, people are saying that now for 6 points, the price is quite steep.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, I think we will see a lot less of Balon in the competitive play, because now you really have to think about if you want to bring him or not.
Yeah, makes sense. And I mean, he still kind of does the same thing, but probably for those 6 points, not anymore on a competitive level as much as before. And this, of course, is a big change for the faction. A lot of people said that have been talking about the last 2 or 3 seasons even, that the faction is kind of held up by Balon competitively, right? Without playing him competitively, using him in the lists, you were kind of hindering yourself or handicapping yourself. So this will be interesting to see. It does
Yeah, exactly.
also open up some more list building, correct?
Of course, now that people think of maybe replacing him, you have basically 2 extra points to spend on NCUs. And well, we have a quite strong NCU roster, I think, in Greyjoys, and so yeah, it's a difficult choice now if you want to bring him or not. If you want to
Mm-hmm.
play aggressively, I think, and um, you have more this glass cannon approach, then I think he's still viable, because you know that you will lose a unit, but
Mm-hmm.
Greyjoys also can play very tanky with a lot of healing. And then in those kind of lists, maybe you don't need him, and another NCU might serve you better.
All right. And you can play him as commander now, maybe, or we will
Right.
maybe see him more as a commander.
Yeah.
And we'll see if cmon actually in the next update will touch tactics cards and attachments, which would include commanders. So that would be interesting to see if his commander version gets a change that makes him maybe even
Mhm.
more competitively viable. All right. So that's that out of the way. And of course, all this change to Balon kind of, you have to see all the other changes in the backdrop of his change, because he was so pivotal for competitive Greyjoy lists. Let's look at the next NCU that got a change, and that's Eric Ironmaker. I really liked Eric before. He was maybe not that competitive, was a bit slow in what he did for your list or for your army. It changed a little bit and just made his abilities a bit more powerful. So now he still gains pillage tokens. He's kind of the pillage token generator in your NCU roster. And now, instead of 1 pillage token that he gets at the start of the game, he starts with 2 pillage tokens on his card. Plus, he can immediately at the beginning of the game place 1 pillage token on a friendly unit. So basically, you have 3 pillage tokens right at the beginning. When it's the same as before, when he or the enemy, or you or the enemy, claim the bags, he generates 1 token. But now what has been changed is each time Eric claims a zone, so any zone, you may remove 1 pillage token from and place it on a friendly Greyjoy unit. Before, you had to pick a zone other than bags. So now what you can do is you can go on bags first round, which means you generate a token because someone went on the bags, but you can also spend a token simultaneously, right, at the same time. So what you can do is you can put, like, let's say your start of game pillage token on Silenced Men with Victarion to make them stronger. And then in the first round, go to bags, you get a token, but you also spend 1, put them on the Silenced Men, and they're already buffed. They have their 2 pillage tokens that they need to unlock their special abilities. And then Eric still has 2 tokens on him, and then he can just keep on dishing out those tokens in the next few rounds. So So by round 3, you will therefore have 2 units completely juiced up. Yeah, and I think that's a great buff for him. How do you put that into context? Is he going to be played more now?
I think there's a big incentive now, maybe to play him, especially if you run. I mean, not all the Greyjoy units have like a big buff when they have 2 pillage token, but you mentioned the Silence Man before. We will talk about them later. They got a change, and now you really want those 2 pillage on them quickly. And also Iron Makers, right? They get this +1 armor roll if they have 2 pillage token, and before you send them in, you always try to get 2 pillage token on them. And Eric now makes it much easier to front load your units with pillage, and I think he's in a good spot now. If he's able to outshine the other NCUs in the roster, let's see. But certainly now, I think it's viable to play him if you really need to or want to buff your units before you start the action in round 2 or 3.
Yeah. Okay. So getting this snowballing that Greyjoys want to do, right? They want to kill,
Exactly.
kill, get stronger, and then you can start that much more quickly now, maybe. Okay, cool.
Mhm.
Let's look at Mokoro. He also got a change. He had Valor's magics, and there was like a really long text there, kind of a wall of text that they basically split up. So cmon made 2 abilities out of this one ability, Visions in the Flames. That is once per game. At the start of the turn, you may target your opponent. If you do, to the end of the turn, they cannot play tactics cards or use friendly orders. So this hasn't changed. Yes, it's the same.
Yeah, that's the same. Yeah.
And the lower part has been changed a little bit, but meaningfully. So Relor's magics now only does the lower part as of the stuff before, once per game. When a friendly combat unit activates, you may target that unit. If you do, place 1 previously destroyed friendly Greyjoy attachment into that unit, replacing a model as usual, but ignoring the usual attachment limits. So before, you could do the same and revive those attachments, but you would have to claim a zone. Now you can do it when a friendly combat unit activates, and that's big. Dominic.
Yeah, exactly. So before it was really a slow play. You were taking Mokoro basically only for the first part of his ability to block the orders and tactic cards for your opponent once per game. And the second part with the zone replacement, which would only happen, of course, if after a unit of yours died. It was always felt very slow to take the zone, replace it, revive an attachment. It happened sometimes, and it could be very strong if you, for example, let's say Victarion died a second time in the game, and then you revive him and put him in round 5, maybe in one of your units. And But now it's much more easy to use. It's really a quality of life change that you can just revive an attachment when you activate a unit. That gives you an immediate benefit, immediate buff to the unit. Think about reviving Carl to get this extra wound, this auto wound when you attack.
Yeah.
Or let's say
Expert
you have an
duelist.
expert duelist in Carl, right? Or you have a unit engaged and you want a second unit to engage as well. You activate it and you revive Asha, for example, which attachment which has gang up, and then charge in. It gives you immediate benefit, and this is really cool to use now. And I think Mokoro was played a lot, quite a lot before, and now will just solidify his position in the NTU pantheon of the Greyjoys, I think.
Yes, that
Yeah,
sounds good. I really like the change, and especially since it's one of those changes that Michael Chenal, the developer, has talked about on his podcast, right? They wanted to reduce some of these hoops you have to jump through to get cool effects out of your unit. So I think this is one example where it is now just less conditional and just a real benefit that you have in your army if you bring him. All right.
Yeah, they really nailed it here, and it's so easy to use now. It's really cool. I like it.
Yeah, very flexible. Okay, cool. So let's look at the combat units next. There have been quite a few changes, some big, some small, but all of them are buffs. Greyjoys, rejoice, get your axes out and start pillaging. First one is the Drowned Men. They got quite a few changes here, right? They have improved their morale from 5+ to 4+. That's this is one of the best morale you will have on units in the game. At least for stuff that is not I don't know, solo units that sometimes even have less, or some of the monsters or something. So really, really good morale here on them. Plus they got another wound, and that's big because they only had 3. Now they have 4 wounds, so it makes them really, really shine for only 4 points, still the same. Plus their order, their Drowned God's Blessing, gives them a couple of abilities, and one of them now doesn't only give them a vulnerable when they attack, or the enemy that they attack, but also a weakened. So they dish out vulnerable and weakened. So all in all, really, really buffed. That's great. What do you make of the change?
Yeah. So in giving them back the 4 wounds and the 4+ morale, they are like reverting a change from the last season. They were really quite strong and tanky with the 4 wounds and this giantesque rule that they have, that they only take a wound for every 2 hits, and they were deceptively tanky with that. And but after they went down to 3 wounds, people stopped playing them so much. They were still a great support piece, but they were falling apart too quickly, and so people stopped using them so much. Going back to 4 wounds and the 4+ morale, which can be even a 3+ morale if you give them a pillage token, makes them really durable again, and less likely to just fall apart by being attacked once. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, of course, that they buffed the order is great, because well, you can make a unit that attacks you, the Drowned Man, or another unit in short range, vulnerable and weakened before the attack, and that can be
Mm-hmm.
quite a big can have quite a big impact on this attack, right?
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
only drawback only drawback on this is just the timing when to use it. You will not have this the opportunity so many times to precisely say who's going to attack when and where. But if you can deduce where you want to use it, and where your opponent wants to attack, it can have a big impact.
Yeah.
But yeah, they can
It,
still heal 2, give rerolls for melee and ranged attacks, so they're a great support piece. And for 4 points, I think yeah, you will see them more often than
yeah.
before.
Easy to fit into a unit, into a list maybe, and then they can really bog down those enemy units, and have a lot of sustain. Our pity unit kind of
Yeah,
great. Okay, next up we have the Black Tide Chosen. Now these guys have been out for what? This is the 3rd season that they've been out or something, and
I
this
think,
is
yeah.
the 3rd change they got. They've been changed each season. They're just the chameleons of the Greyjoy army, I think. But they got some interesting changes. What changed is their attack profile changed a little bit. They had 7, 5, 4, so 5 dice on 2nd rank. Now they have 6, so a little more sustain there. And their abilities completely changed or swapped out. Before that, they were kind of a pillage token generator and spreader. You could spread out these pillage tokens with divide the spoils, and they were used for that. Also, if they had pillage tokens, 2 pillage tokens themselves, they had kind of like this morale bubble, right, where they improved the morale of units in short range, and of course that includes themselves, and -1 to failing panic tests. So this was really a really good unit, very, very good support unit that could help your army with sustain and to get stronger. And now these 2 have been swapped out, and for that they got Sentinel as an order. So yeah, more maneuverability, more threat in charging, but also they got Shield Wall to make them more defensive. And I kind of like that they got Shield Wall, first if I look at it on a surface, because, that just fits thematically to their model, and they have these huge shields, and, having a kind of a Viking themed army without Shield Wall is kind of, doesn't sit right with people. who are looking at the lore or just the fluff here. So yeah, those two things got changed. I know you're not super happy about the change, Dominic. Will you let us know why?
Yeah, I mean, I think the community in general is quite divided on the changes. I mean, of course, getting the tech die on the second rank was great because 745 is a bad decay for a tech profile, and I mean, losing divide the spoils doesn't hurt so much, but me on my part, I really like the first claim ability. Gives you another option, or gave you another option to create those pillage tokens, and I really like the aura. Buffing buffing your units with morale even more and reducing panic damage was huge on basically every unit in the Greyjoy roster. I mean, makes Iron Makers even more tanky, but I think it also enabled like the weaker units like Trappers and Bowmen and Reavers, um, because they're all quite flimsy. But if you have this or have them close to the Backtide Chosen, at least on the morale area, you couldn't hurt them so much. And I think it was just helping like our weaker units to get in the game a bit more. That's why I'm a bit sad that they lost it. But of course, on the other hand, gaining Sentinel and Shield Wall, two very nice melee-oriented abilities and orders. It's not bad, let's say. But I kinda cry one little salty tear for the first claim ability. But now I think they have a very clear profile now. With going in, supporting other units with the Sentinel and getting stuck in with Shield Wall and their 4+ armor save. Yeah, if it's enough for them to be played, well, let's see. Because there's another 6-point unit that got a slight buff, so let's see how they compete. But I think they definitely have a place, especially if you kit them out with the right attachment.
Yeah, exactly. Let's look at that. Next unit, that is the Silenced Man. And the Silenced Man also got quite a few changes here, it looks like, but only small ones. So first off, they had their Great Axe's melee ability. It would give them Sundering, of course. And then the second part of that was kind of an extra Sundering, right? We would call it Mega Sundering or Super Sundering. So you'd have other units' defense stat reduced by one more. So if you had 2 pillage tokens on them, you would have double Sundering, basically. That changed. Sundering is still there, but if they have 2 pillage tokens, only defense die rolls of 6 may block hits from this attack. So the defender needs to roll 6s to block anything, really. And this is, of course, quite the big offensive buff, especially against units that have like 3+ or 2+ or 4+ even. Before that, they would reduce by 2. So anything that has 4+ armor would roll on 6s anyways. But against stuff that has 3+ armor or 2+ armor, this is a huge buff. So I think when we talked about the video and the changes before, you said that they are the can opener against stuff like Baratheons, and they are. It's even more so. So this is great for them. And then Silence Infamy got changed. Before that, enemies in short range suffer -1 to morale test rolls if they have the 2 pillage tokens. And now, if this unit has 2 pillage tokens, enemies in short range suffer -1 from morale test rolls, and enemies activating while engaged with this unit suffer 1 panic test. That's an interesting ability. I haven't seen that before. Like when you're engaged with the Silenced Man now and you activate a unit, they have to do a panic test first. What do you make of the change?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you said it before. The Silence Men have been always the can openers for the Greyjoy faction. They were very good at breaking down enemy tough armor saves, and now they do it even better, giving you -3 or -4 armor against 3+ and 4+, 2+, respectively. And this is great, that you have a unit that can deal with any unit in the game. And yeah, about the Silence Infamy, the aura is still great. And the panic test on the activation. Yeah, at first you think, okay, that's cool. That's another source of potential damage. But then you think about it a bit more, and then there's a lot of abilities that trigger off panic tests, uh, past panic tests, for example, and gives opponents an opportunity to play some tactic cards, maybe, yeah, to heal or something. For example, in Baratheons, and so it can be a double-edged sword or axe in the Greyjoy sense. And so we have to see how impactful this change actually is. I think it won't matter so much, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But of course, offensive profile got strengthened, and so they will still see play. They are really, really good now
Yeah.
with this new ability.
All right. We have taken a minute to look at the attachments you would put into them. It hasn't really changed much, so I wouldn't go over that really, but if you haven't played Greyjoys much in the last season or whatever, Victarion is of course still the go-to guy. He underlines their aggressiveness. He has Furious Charge. He brings the Vicious combined with their Silence Infamy, where they put out -1 to morale test rolls on enemies. This all synergizes so well. Overrun. He has the tactics cards needed, like an auto 6 charge on the tactics card, and so on. So this is just great. Same for Theon Greyjoy. He works with them also very well. He has a lot of keywords. Ambush can dish out tokens that even buff their potential, their damage potential even more. Their enhanced mobility gets them to 7 movement. That's nasty for such a, just ball of destruction unit. Plus the Sentinel. So both of these commanders are great in Silenced Men. Yeah. Let's move on to the Ironborn Reavers. They got only a tiny change, but one that's not bad. 5 movement got pushed to 6 movement now, and everything else stayed the same. There's still 5 points, 6 movement, and Sundering, rerolls if you have the 2 pillage tokens and a Furious Charge with a vulnerable token for 5 points. That looks good for me.
Yeah, offensively they're very good for 5 points. I think there's not many other units that can dish out that much damage at the 5 points level. And the change that they got now with the 6 movement, it's quite meaningful because now you can have a threat range of up to 12 inches, and so you can threaten range units even better. And yeah, of course, defensively they're very liable still.
Yeah.
But if you get them in the right spot and before your enemy can shoot them or attack them, they can hurt the enemy quite a lot.
Yeah. And we looked at the attachments real quick here. Of course, Theon can, bank on their better movement now, even with the Order Reckless Heroism, the Auto 6 charge, plus the 6 movement, so 12 inches there. It's great. And he can produce a retreat action, so they can maybe potentially charge again then the next turn or whatever. The next round, but this is really good. And then, as you said, defensively they're a bit weak with the 5+ defense, and that's why you could maybe put a Drowned Prophet in there with the Resilience Order, so that would really make them get more sustain. And I think he's 1 point, the Drowned Prophet.
Yeah,
yeah.
Drowned Prophet is 1 point. Theon is 1 point.
Yeah, so makes them a 6-point
good
unit,
attachments
basically.
to just show what you can do often. Yeah, exactly. And so just to show what's possible offensively or defensively, right? Just
yes, I like them. All right, and next up is that other 6-point unit that you talked about before, the House Harlaw Reapers. Also just a tiny change. Their Bardish melee attack gained critical blow in addition to the vicious it had before. So more damage potential for those guys. What does it make them now?
Yeah, I mean, people were playing them before because of the potential high damage with the +1 wound on the panic. If you have 2 pillage on them, they have 8 dice. They give this +1 wound on failed panic tests. So there's a possibility to do those 12 wounds that you're looking for. Now they got crit blow, so the chance that their spiral out of control is even higher. So of course, I think they will see play. They are still not very good into armored enemies, but to clear enemy chaff, weakly armored units with low morale, like let's say raiders or something, free folk raiders. That's like the perfect unit to charge them into,
Mhm.
and they would just chop them up. It's really cool.
Obliterate them.
Yeah, exactly. And now
Yeah.
with the crit blow, they just have the opportunity to spiral spiral out and just dish out that much more damage.
Yeah. Very explosive unit now. Okay. I love them. We've also looked at some attachments here. Do you want to talk about those real quick?
Yeah. So I think most people were playing them with the Balor Black Tide, obviously because of boldness and courage, to have even more dice, and that makes even more sense now because with 2 pillage they have 9 dice on the highest rank with crit blow
Ooh.
wishes and this +1 wound. Yeah, they can really make or hurt the enemy. And who's unyielding is also nice because their defensive profile is not very strong. And if you take a few less wounds on their failed panic tests, that always helps. But mainly you were taking him for the boldness and courage. And same with Asha. Asha is universally very good for Greyjoys because of Gang Up and Sentinel. And she would work in any of the combat units basically. Um, but I think in Howl of Reapers with their 6 movement, she shines. And yeah, it's I
Mhm.
think it's a good combination. Yeah.
Yeah, great. And then maybe for a bit more fun thing to put in them, we've looked at Ramsay Snow because it just synergizes well with their Prey on Fear and all the panic test stuff they do with Reaper's Fervor also. And his intimidating presence obviously gels really nicely with that. And you get Theon Greyjoy Reek for free, and he can also dish out even more panic tokens. So if you want to, uh, you know, uh, um, bank on this a little more on all this panic stuff, then Ramsay Snow could be a fun attachment to put into them. Maybe not the most competitive choice, but definitely a fun thing to play with all the panic shenanigans.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's what I would say as well.
yeah. Let's look at the big picture for House Greyjoy. We've gone through all the changes, and we said that the faction was in a good spot. They needed Balon for their competitive lists. Balon got nerfed. A lot of other stuff got buffed. Where are Greyjoys now at the beginning of season 7? We have to kind of look into the future here a bit. Meta hasn't settled
Yeah.
quite right, but what is your take right now, like about a week after release of season 7?
Yeah, I mean it's difficult to say. Of course, obviously, I mean the change to Balon will have a big impact on how the faction is played. You always had like this safety net that you could fall back onto with Balon. I mean, you still can, but it's not going to be as impactful now. Um, Enemies will not be as afraid to play against the Balon list because they know now that you cannot come in the flanks behind them, and that was what made him like very impactful and very strong.
Sure.
Um, when I think about the changes for the other factions, there have been some um, big changes in some factions that I didn't like to play against so much. Like Martell got weaker, but they still have some nice control pieces, which is always very difficult to play against.
Mhm.
Obviously, Lannisters with Cersei
Oh,
now, it's
yes.
going to be difficult. Very,
Ouch.
very, very difficult matchup. Yeah, but I think that is for all the factions. That's a topic for all the factions. Um, well, all the units got a straight up buff. They will do more damage in melee. The question is it enough to keep us afloat? Um, I think if you are experienced Greyjoy player, you can still like compete in tournaments. If it's enough for the top tables, I'm not sure anymore. I think a bit of yeah, like there's some small pieces missing. I think
Hmm.
Greyjoy still take too much damage for the fact that they're just an infantry faction, right? They're too sluggish. People can outplay them most of the time. We still don't have
Hmm.
cavalry, and I think we would need something to soak up the damage a bit more now that Balon is gone. I don't know quite what it would be. Maybe some cards with blocking hits or some more resilience somewhere.
Hmm.
I'm thinking of the old Baron Black Tide NCU that gave like this influence with resilience that was quite nice.
Hmm.
Maybe something like this. But
Yeah,
let's see
something
and play a few
flexible,
games.
right? That you can put where you
Yeah,
need it on the battlefield.
exactly.
At the
No, yeah,
moment you need it.
exactly. Like
That's missing.
exactly.
I mean, yeah, people. I would love to have something like a calf for them, where people were also talking about they have boats, like they need some movement with boats. I don't know,
Mhm.
something like that. But I think it's really difficult to balance while also remaining or maintaining the essence or the identity of the faction, right? If you give
Yeah,
every faction the mobility, then all the factions become the same. Of course, exaggerated, but I think that's kind of difficult to do. But I'm looking forward to what's going to happen in the next update. If some of the commander and attachment changes that we might hopefully get will also change how Greyjoys play and maybe alleviate some of those weaknesses. Yeah,
yeah.
still super
I mean,
fun and a lot of buffs, so I'm sure they'll be
yeah,
fine.
I think so. I mean, as you said, like you were talking about the identity of the faction, and for me, the Greyjoys, when they first came out, I was surprised that they have so much possibilities to outflank with the Reaver Captain. Yeah, for
Hmm.
me, they were always like the outflank faction, let's say, and because they have those ships, they land, and of course they don't have the ships in the game, but like attacking where they want with those ships and having those possibility to raid was actually I think I like the idea to have this outflank possibility in
Hmm.
several units. Um, and if they would buff that somehow, maybe make the Reaver captains better, so you can always like threaten an outflank,
Hmm.
or make the whole outflank ability a bit different for Greyjoys. That could help with the mobility issue. Because I really don't like the idea of having a cavalry in the Greyjoys. I really like it that they are this infantry only faction. Makes sense for me, and I like the identity. But yeah, a bit more movement shenanigans would be cool. But let's
Yeah,
see.
it's a great idea, and especially different movement shenanigans from what the other factions have. I really like that idea to sharpen the focus of the faction there. Okay, let's quickly look at the lists to try out. We're not going to talk through every point here, but this is the Victarion list, so one of the classics that you would see in the last seasons as well. How has it maybe changed, or what are the important things here?
Well, didn't change that much when you look at it. Just the pieces, apart from Balon, got better. Silence Man got better. Reavers got better. Um,
Mhm.
so it basically is the one of the prototype or archetype lists that have been played in the last season. And I think it's still viable um, with the buffs to the unit. Um, you can still play it, and well, the setup is yeah. So it's very easy. You have Victarion, you have Newt
Sure.
to act as a second Victarion. The Iron Victory crew generates one pillage when they deploy the unit. You have Euron, who has two pillage tokens from the start, which you can either put on the Iron Victory crew or both of them on the Silence Men. And then you just yeah, move up the board. You look for an angle where you can deploy Victarion. You're probably fishing for the right cards with Roderick. Um, and when you see an opening, you trigger Mokoro, you play the cards, you run Victarion up the board with the Silence Men and let them crush into one of the weaker opponent's units to take it out, possibly in one turn, if you're lucky, and then spiral out from there and have an activation advantage. Yeah, so that
Yeah.
was the idea of this list, and it still works the same way. I think it's still viable, although maybe a bit harder to pull off because of the missing flanking ability on Balon.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. And we put Wendermere here also because you could replace Roderick maybe with Wendermere.
Yeah.
And that would also be a good possibility. Okay, let's look at
It's
the
always a
second list.
discussion between Roderick and
Mhm.
Vandermeer. Some people like Wendy more for the extra 3-inch shift. Some people like Roderick more to cycle through the cards to really get this rush of aggression and assault
Yeah.
orders when you need it.
Okay, great. Second list here. And now you've cooked up something kind of new. Just give us the main points of this Balon list.
Yeah, right. So as you said, Balon Commander might be something that people see more often now. And I always really like Balon as a commander because he has this unique mechanic of generating pillage and using pillage from other units to heal himself. Yeah, I thought that why not? Let's try to make a list that generates a lot of pillage quickly. And for that, I always put Round Man in because one of Balon's cards creates pillage token when you hurt one of your own units. But if you have Drowned Man, you can heal yourself up quite quickly and still generate the pillage. Eric helps with that as well. And yeah, so I think might be quite fun list. Baron is there to influence one of your units, probably the Silence Man, to give them the rerolls on the morale and hardened, and to make them a bit more tanky. And then you have Balon with fueled by slaughter and the ability to steal one pillage from another unit and heal yourself for 2. So that might be enough to make him survive. So
Mhm.
yeah, that was the basic idea. And I think it might work.
All right, cool. Something to try out at the beginning of season 7. And we're at the end. We've talked about all the changes and we've looked at those two lists quickly. Let us know in the comments if you have other ideas, if you have some more lists, or if by the time you watch this, the meta has settled and we were completely wrong or completely right. Everything works. Dominic, thank you for being here and for being the expert on Greyjoys. Looking forward to seeing you pillage and plunder this season, and I hope you can pull it off, even without Balon.
I'll do my best. I'll do my best.
I'm sure. Okay, great. And thank you guys for tuning in. See you in the next one, and roll those crits.
Come for the hits and stay for the crits.